Hello and welcome to another episode of Retrospection, the podcast where we take an old movie or TV show and decide whether it deserves to be airlifted to safety or just blown to smithereens. My name's Paul, and do you mind if I ask a personal question? How'd you get to be so damn big?
And I'm Dave, and come on, are you jerks sleeping or what?
I usually am, to be honest with you.
Well, I know. We know what you're like, it's fine.
So as you can probably hear, my usual co-host Colin is enjoying some well-deserved R&R this week.
Well deserved?
Well, you know, he would say well-deserved. I'm not. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll debate that another time, maybe. He'll listen to this. But luckily, I'm joined by a special guest host. Welcome back to Retrospection, Dave.
Hello.
So you're no stranger to the show, as well as being one of our longest supporters. You also guested on our Lockdown Computer Games episode back in April 2020.
I did, and I turned retrospection a little bit sweary, didn't I? Apparently.
You know what? We didn't notice. So I don't know what that says about
That's the
us.
scary thing.
You'll fit right in, Dave, so it's fine.
Oh, yeah.
Me and Colin. Do you remember those heady days of lockdown?
Oh my word! Do you know what? I think I've blocked those sort of couple of years out of my life.
I think a lot of people do. That was the only way that they could get through it, wasn't it?
That was grim, wasn't it?
I think that you went for a small. It must have been bad for you, Dave, because you went for a small phase of watching some Marvel movies, if I remember.
I did, and I made the stupid mistake in watching them in chronological order as well.
Ooh, you hit some rough ones there, didn't you?
Yeah, you shouldn't do that, should you?
Mind you, didn't you enjoy? Not getting off topic here, talking about Marvel. Colin will kill us.
Colin's going to be absolutely fuming.
He'll be like, I'm never leaving the podcast again if this is what happens when I'm not here. You enjoyed, was it Captain Marvel? You enjoyed that one, didn't you? The one that everyone hates.
Captain Marvel was it was all right.
There you go.
Does it get a lot of hate then?
Yeah, a lot of people don't like that one.
Really?
Yeah, I think a lot of the hate's directed at a certain actor or actress that's in.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought it was all right, but clearly I don't have taste, which is bodes well for this, doesn't it?
Well, we'll see. We'll see in a minute. So, but thank you for taking over Colin's seat this week. I hope it's not too damp for you, at least.
No, it's a pleasure.
So on this episode, we'll be discussing episode 1 of the TV series Tour of Duty, which ran for 3 seasons between 1987 and 1990. I didn't realise it was that old.
I must admit actually when I saw that, because I've written down the same notes, and 87. I didn't have it down as 80s. I had it down as really early 90s.
I think that the ITV regions that it was shown in over here in the UK, I think that they only started showing it once it was already done in America, which would have been the early 90s.
That would explain it then. And they only showed it at about midnight as well.
Yeah, it was one of those late night ITV shows, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I mean, I remember watching it with my dad, and because it was on so late, he would record it on good old VHS.
Ah, nice.
And we'd get up early on a Sunday morning and watch it.
Yeah, I think I used to do that as well, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, I would go so far as to say when he recorded it, I reckon he might have done Video Plus. Remember Video Plus?
I do remember Video Plus, yeah.
where you didn't set a time, you actually just typed in a code from the TV guide and it magically recorded the programme.
I could never get that damn thing to work. But then again, I could never figure out how to set the video either to record something just normally. I bet you could. You're good at that stuff.
Well, of course I did.
Yeah.
I'm a geek.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're good at this stuff. I know you are.
What are you talking about?
Yeah. So the series stars Terrence Knox as Sergeant Clayton Anderson, Stephen Caffrey as Lieutenant Myron Goldman, Tony Becker as Corporal Danny Purcell, Eric Bruscator? Something like that.
I'm glad you're saying it because I wasn't sure myself.
As Private Scott Baker, Ramon Franco as Private Alberto Ruiz. That's right. I'm pronouncing that right. And Miguel A. Nunez Jr. as Private Marcus Taylor. And the one that took me by surprise because I used to watch this show back in the day, as we just said, and I never realised that he was in it, is the voice of Batman himself, Kevin Conroy, as Captain Rusty Wallace.
Is he the voice of Batman?
Yeah, in all the Arkham games and the animated show.
I didn't know that.
He
Okay.
He looks completely different in this. He doesn't look like the Kevin Conroy I remember.
Okay.
He
Interesting.
Yeah, of course, he passed away not too long ago.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
But he was, for lots and lots of people, he is still the voice of Batman. And a lot of people think he's the best Batman ever, of all the people that have ever played Batman.
I must admit, actually, because I've played the Arkham game, so I tend to look at lots of gaming sites and things like that. And I remember the news story of him passing away, but I must admit I didn't know it was this guy.
Well, if you just showed me a picture of what he looks like in this episode, I would never have put Kevin Conroy to that face.
Really?
No.
Okay.
But it was weird because I knew it was him, and I'm watching the episode. There were little moments where he was speaking where I could hear Batman's voice.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, it was really strange. So the pilot episode was written by Steve Duncan and L. Travis Clark, and it was directed by Bill Norton. Tour of Duty was set between 1967 and 1969.
Mm-hmm.
The show was heavily inspired by the movie Platoon, but to be honest, Vietnam movies were everywhere in the 80s, weren't they?
Oh, they were. Yeah.
Just,
but it makes sense that it was inspired by Platoon, you know.
Definitely. But I mean, they ranged from Platoon to Hamburger Hill, Full Metal Jacket, and then you've even got you got the more sort of like outlandish ones like Missing in Action with a bit of Chuck Norris in there.
Yeah. Do you know what's really weird, right? Because like I say, I watched this with my dad, so I watched it all the way through many, many years ago. Yeah, I've never seen Platoon.
That is a weird one, because
and I don't know how that's happened.
I would have thought Platoon would have been right up your street, Dave.
I imagine it is. I really ought to do it.
Which ones are those? Have you seen any of those kind of movies then?
I've seen Full Metal Jacket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's it.
Wow.
Out of those ones that you've said, that's all I've seen.
I mean,
which is bizarre, really.
You can really see the influence of Platoon in this TV show, though.
Can you?
And to be honest with you, I mean, Platoon is a big budget Hollywood movie, and not to spoil anything of what we think of this show, but I personally feel that on a TV budget, what they pull off just in this episode alone is excellent, really.
Well, this is the thing. This is what's interesting about it, right? Because I was looking at a couple of facts on this, and it's an interesting one. Because I think, if I remember rightly, I think you told me that when you mentioned to Colin what we were going to be doing, didn't he say to you, "Oh, is that cheap Vietnam show?"
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Which is really interesting because when you look back at it, apparently the budget per episode was about $1.25 million.
That's not cheap.
That's not cheap, especially in '87. And this pilot that we're about to talk about was $3 million.
And it's all on the screen. You can see it, can't you?
You can see it. Well, we'll get to it, but they really did go for it.
I'm wondering whether Colin's misremembering it, because I think one of the things that might have helped to make it look cheaper than it actually was is, do you remember there was that time in the 80s and 90s where everything seemed to be shot on videotape?
Yeah.
And this does have a bit of that about it.
It definitely does. Yeah.
Which cheapens it a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I must admit, the copy that I watched, which was off the internet, I don't know how much of it was a dodgy copy on the internet and how much of it was actually just cheap film.
Yeah, I would imagine that it didn't look great back then. I mean, if I remembered what TV shows looked like back in that period, there was a lot of, everything was washed out. Everything was it had that sort of plasticky videotape look about everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and to be honest with you, now I imagine it's made even worse by sort of modern, flat screens and all that sort of thing, HD TV. I think when you were looking at the old fat CRT things, it didn't look quite as bad, but now it looks pretty atrocious.
Well, I would imagine with modern TVs, are going to try and upscale it, and it's not going to make it any better, is it? It's going to make it, as you say,
no,
worse.
It's not. It's not. No.
So, music was a big part of this show. But apparently, I was reading that due to difficulties in obtaining licensing for the continued use of copyrighted music, subsequent reruns of this show, they had to replace a lot of the well-known songs that were used.
Well, that's interesting because watching this pilot, there are no licensed songs that I saw.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was because because it was a pilot, they just hadn't got any licenses at that point. You know, they didn't have an audience, or if it was just the copy I watched was one of the reruns, because there's absolutely nothing in there. There's a load of faux copies of music, but nothing genuine, because the original, I was looking at, apparently they released 5 official soundtracks for this series for over the 3 seasons.
Yeah, it was a bit like how Miami Vice used to release soundtracks, wasn't it? They put a lot of music in it, and then you'd have volume 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll admit I skipped forward a couple of episodes just to check, and I'm sure that Paint It Black was the music that they played over the opening credits of every episode.
Again, I don't know if it did at the beginning or whether that came in later on. I don't know, but I was gutted because that's the thing that got me in the mood for watching the program. It was me and my dad sitting there Sunday morning, Paint It Black, get psyched up. There was none of that here. I was gutted.
Yeah, I missed it as well. Yeah, I was waiting for it, and it was a shame it wasn't there. I mean, they were just looking at. I made a note of some of the artists that they used in this show: Jimi Hendrix, Creedence Clearwater Revival, as you say, Rolling Stones, and none of it's there anymore. It's all gone.
No, gutted. It is a big loss.
It is a big loss. It is. So Eric Brosk-Otter's Private Baker left after season 1. And we didn't get an explanation as to why he went until season 3, when the actor came back as a guest star. Now, the interesting thing when we've talked about Tour of Duty, just us, is I don't think I ever saw beyond season 1. Now, you watched it all, as you said, didn't you?
And in my head, he was in there the entire time.
Well, it was a long time ago. I mean, when was the last time you saw this? 30 years ago?
Oh, something like that. Yeah.
It all merges into one big thing, I would imagine.
Yeah.
The show, as we said, was shown in lots of ITV regions in the UK. What was on that you watched it on?
At the time, that probably would have been Thames, I think.
I remember the good old Thames logo.
No. It would have been At the Weekend, where it turned into LWT.
Why did it change?
I don't know. There was something about it was Thames during the week, and then from Friday evening, 6 o'clock, it turned into London Weekend Television.
Do you know what? I always wondered. I never realised what LWT stood for. Well, growing up in the north, I watched it on Granada. So.
Oh, good old Granada!
Yeah. And I used to see these other logos on these other shows, LWT and Thames, but I never knew what LWT stood for. It never crossed my mind.
There you go.
Yeah. Colin will be disgusted when he hears that, I'm telling you now.
It was interesting. I was looking at the information about season 1, which was filmed on location in Hawaii. And then apparently from season 2 onwards, they took it to Hollywood and they filmed it on the old set of MASH.
That makes sense, doesn't it?
It does make sense.
And it was probably a lot easier and a bit cheaper than filming it in Hawaii, I would have thought.
Oh, I imagine it must have been. I mean, especially if they're blowing $1.25 million on every episode. Every penny counts, I suppose. It was also, when they first aired it, apparently it got commercial success, but it didn't get the ratings.
Okay.
So it got critical success. So it didn't get the rate, but it didn't get the viewers it was supposed to get. But part of the problem was the fact that it always clashed with Family Ties and the Cosby Show.
You got no chance there, then, have you?
No, exactly. That's it. Right. So on season 3, they decided to move it. Only they managed to make it clash with the Golden Girls.
That's brilliant. That is some brilliant behind the scenes work there, isn't it? Eh?
Incredible, isn't it?
One could cynically say that it's almost like they were trying to kill it, so that they don't have to make anymore.
That's it. Exactly. But then on season 3, they tried to get some sort of bigger names into the mix to try and grab more viewers, and they started getting people like Carl Weathers and Lee Majors to star in it.
Wow, I didn't know that. But then again, as I say, I never saw season 3. Season 3 was different, wasn't it, than the first 2 seasons?
Well, I mean, they started to make changes from season 2. They started to bring in sort of female characters and things like that in an attempt to sort of broaden their audience a little bit. But season 2 was a lot shorter than season 1 and 3, but it was due to writers' strikes and things like that. So
something that we're going through again now in Hollywood. The writers' strike.
It goes through stages of doing that, doesn't it?
Seems to be. Although I think the current one's all about streaming rights and people just not being paid for reruns on stream, because you can't quantify it, can you? Whereas in the old days, something would be rerun on TV and you would get royalties every time something was rerun, but you can't quantify it anymore. Yeah.
No.
But the premise of season 3 was completely different, wasn't it?
I'm not sure. What's the premise of season 3? It's a long time since I've seen
home?
it.
They go home in season 3, don't they?
They do. It's not from the beginning of season 3 though, from what I remember. I think it was part way through.
See, I never saw any of that. I didn't know that happened.
No. I mean, in my head, it's about halfway through season 3, and then they showed them sort of back home and struggling to adapt back to their home life and all that sort of thing.
Interesting.
Which is a bold move.
Yeah. Did it feel? I don't know whether it got a proper finale, this show, but at least if they get home, then it feels like there is some kind of closure to some of these characters, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I don't remember ever being disappointed with how it ended, so I assume. I mean, I'm going to have to find somewhere to watch all this, aren't I? Or just buy copies of it somewhere. It's really hard to find, though.
I think there's a DVD set that you can buy on eBay that's region free, I think. I think you can get that. And I think it's not very expensive, I don't think. It's only like a tenner or something.
I am intrigued.
Yeah, so am I. Not to give anything away, but I quite like to see more of this. But we'll talk about that as we go on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, so let's go. So the first thing I want to say is I did like the 80s panpipe music over the opening credits, but I do prefer Paint It Black.
Paint It Black. I think from what I remember, the thing they were playing over the start, they also played over the end credits, and I think it was always the end credit theme. I think it was just Paint It Black was always put. I think
you're right, because I did remember it.
But yeah, it's quite moody. It fits.
It does. It is also a little bit 80s easy listening, but you can't help that, can you? I suppose.
It is a little. It's panpipes, isn't it? It's like that sort of. You used to be able to get those mail order music catalogues, didn't you, for like panpipe moods and things like that.
Oh yeah, it was a thing for a while, that wasn't it?
It really was. Late night adverts were littered with it.
Yeah, they were always by what was that? Was it called Telstar? Was it the company that used to make those things? Yeah, I remember those.
Panpipe moods by Telstar.
Only advertised on TV. Yeah.
There's a reason for that, because it's shite.
And we get some text on the screen that tells us the 12-month period American soldiers were required to serve in Vietnam was known as the Tour of Duty. Nice to get the title of the show in there. I always appreciate that.
Well, they did. And I think we should play a drinking game where I take a shot every time I accidentally say Call of Duty rather than Tour of Duty, because it's going to happen.
I'll try and be on the lookout for that. And if you do it, I'll give you the nod. All right. I might do it. Who knows? So we see a US Army camp, and a subtitle tells us that it's Firebase Ladybird, Vietnam, 1967. And we see Sergeant Anderson and 2 others in a foxhole, clearly tense that something's going on somewhere. I always thought that Sergeant Anderson was cool. He hardly ever wears a helmet in the show, and apparently that was because his head was too big and they couldn't find one to fit him.
Is that what it was?
Apparently so, yeah.
I thought it was. I honestly thought it was just because they were trying to make him cool. That's it.
Either way, it works, doesn't it?
Oh, it does. But they keep calling him Zeke, and I don't know why they called him Zeke.
That's his middle name, apparently.
Oh, is it?
Apparently so. Well, on IMDb, it's listed as his middle name. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So a flare goes up into the night sky, and Anderson discovers that some of the guards on duty have been killed. I think one of them's got his throat cut, hasn't he?
One of them's got his throat cut, yeah, and he then makes his way back, doesn't he, to the other members in the foxhole? But he has to crouch down in the long grass while the Viet Cong walk past him.
I always wonder if that. It is tense, but I always wonder whether that would work. I mean, I'd like to think that if there was someone crouched down in my garden, even if the grass was a bit long, I'd still see him. Even if he was wearing, like, combat gear, you know.
I know. They're literally almost standing on his face.
Yeah, it's Metal Gear Solid level of AI, isn't it? You know.
It is a little bit. Do you think they get little exclamation marks pop up above their heads?
Yeah, look for that cone of sight that's moving around, you know.
Huh? What was that noise?
The worst one was there was a game. It was a ninja game. I can't think what it was called. And whenever they would kind of hear you, they would just go every time. They only had one voice, I think. And go, what was that? But in a very. I'm not going to do the accent, all right? But you know.
Why not? Come on.
I think we both know why. So you know, we've got in trouble for that before on this show. And the base is then attacked. And under cover of darkness, and a fight erupts, and it's really well put together. This battle sequence, isn't it?
Oh, they set their stall out early with this one, don't they? They signal their intent.
Exactly, and it's pretty violent as well, isn't it?
It really is, yeah.
People getting shot and blown up left, right, and centre, and I'm thinking, I know that 80s TV was more violent than today, but come on, I didn't think they could get away with this. Yeah.
I know, yeah, it was really impressive, and I was looking at it, and I thought, yeah. I'm invested already.
Absolutely. Lots of US soldiers get killed, including the lieutenant, the current lieutenant, we should say.
Yes, that's right. Yep.
And Captain Wallace calls in an airstrike. And when the airstrike happens, I have to say that this is one part that I did think looked a bit small scale. The explosion just didn't work for me.
Oh, really?
I don't think...
I didn't see it like that. I thought it was quite good.
I thought it was... They do it... There's an explosion at the end of the episode, which they did better, but this one looked a bit sort of small scale. But I don't know whether it was because they used that crappy slow motion effect that you used to see a lot back in the 80s.
I know. Yes.
And that never does anything any favours when that gets used, I don't think.
No, that's true.
You know the kind of that kind of jerky slow motion effect that you used to see a lot.
Yeah. Low frames.
Yeah. Makes everything just look a bit shit, you know.
No, I do know what you mean, I suppose. But yeah, overall I was actually quite impressed with this opening scene. I thought it was, it was quite a spectacular thing, and I think it was them signalling sort of, you know, where they thought it was. Well, I thought they were signalling where they thought where it was going to go. It was really, really good.
Yeah.
Stumbled over that a little bit there, didn't I?
we all knew what you were saying, Dave. It was fine. It doesn't look like a TV show. It looks like a movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yeah.
So in the aftermath, they're dealing with all the casualties, and Private Johnson, he breaks down at the body of his best friend who's been killed. And it's interesting.
He does.
It's interesting how Private Taylor, he's just kind of urging Johnson to. You find him irritating, do you? He's just kind of. He's just kind of. Oh, here we go. First rock in the road. I did kind of like how he's just he's kind of urging Johnson to just accept what's happened and move on. I suppose that was the only way that they could get through it, really.
I mean, there's ways of dealing with that. You know, I think rolling your eyes, which is what he did,
He does that a lot, though, doesn't he?
Come on, man, get over it. It's like, oh, come on.
He is probably, I would say, probably one of the most unlikable characters in it.
Yeah, he isn't. It's weird. I remember him being one of my favourite characters, and in this, he is a complete arsehole.
It's early days, though. I suppose that maybe they give him more to do. Bring his character out a little bit more as the series goes on.
They must have mellowed him. Because I don't remember him being anything like this. But yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, fair enough. You've got to move on, get on with it. You're in the middle of Vietnam. That's fine, but give him more than 5 seconds to grieve for his best mate.
Well, the show's only 40 minutes long, Dave. You've got to keep it moving, you know. The actor that's playing him, the one thing that I remember this guy from more than anything isn't Tour of Duty, although I do remember the character. I just remember him getting killed in an outside toilet in one of the Friday the 13th movies. That's the thing I remember him from. Yeah.
Do you ever remember him doing a major role in anything, or was he always a sort of side character in other stuff you see? I've only ever seen him as side characters, and I can't even think what I've seen him as side characters in.
He's one of those actors, isn't he? I don't think he ever did a leading role, but he used to turn up a lot. There was a period where he turned up a lot in things, but he was, as you say, he was always a bit part player.
Off the back of this, I assume.
I would imagine so.
Yeah. Which, by the way, actually, can I just say, shout out to Captain Wallace in this opening sequence when he shouts, "Napalm! I need napalm now!"
in his best, Batman voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's very good in it, actually, Kevin Conroy. Yeah.
He is. Yeah, I like him.
Speaking of Captain Wallace, he tells Anderson that this shouldn't be happening, that they should be winning this war. I thought that was a good line. It was.
Yeah. I like that. And you can tell when they're speaking to each other, there's a mutual respect there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it would have been easy to make Captain Wallace a bit of a dick, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
A lot of script.
Yeah. But that's kind of, it's a bit route one, isn't it?
Yeah. Although I didn't like when later in the episode when you see him smoking a pipe. I thought that was a bit of a cliche, But,
I didn't notice that, did
at one point when he's talking to Anderson in one of the tents, he's smoking a pipe, I get what he's doing there.
I never noticed
It's a cliche of the thoughtful captain, he's the brains, It turns out that the attacking army were... Now, I'm no Vietnam expert, so I'm going to wing this. They were special North Vietnamese army regulars, something that they hadn't encountered.
I thought you were a military guy. Come on.
I'm a military guy. Where'd you get that from?
I thought you were well into your military.
No, that's Colin. You're mistaking me with Colin.
It's like tanks. Whoa.
No, there's so many possibilities there for double entendres, but I'm not going to do any of them. I'm not going to make any comments about barrels or anything like that, or
This isn't Carry On. Come on.
Carry On Tour of Duty. Oh, they could have done that, couldn't they?
They could have done that, yeah. Don't know what Barbara Windsor would be doing.
She could play. Well, obviously, I was going to say that she could play. She could play Captain Wallace, female version.
Oh yeah.
Oh, well, that was a bit Carry On, Dave.
Oh.
Can we do that? I don't know if we could do that. We'll get cancelled. Wallace tells Anderson that we've got a whole new war ahead of us. And that's the setup for the show right there, isn't it, in that one line?
It is, because it was apparently the VC that they found were... that they're normally up in the north of the country, and they were down in the south.
Right.
And they had whole new weaponry and things like that. So it was a bit of a discovery. One
thing I will say about that, I get it, and I know we're dealing with a limited budget.
Mm-hmm.
When we get to the end of the episode, they do deal with them rather easily, don't they? Don't you think?
Yeah, we'll get to
right.
it. But okay. Yeah, I know what you mean.
So Wallace wants Anderson to go and check the enemy bodies for any intel, and then take it over to Division HQ. And while he's there, Anderson says that he'll go on a bit of a fresh recruitment drive to beef up the platoon. And then we get some aerial footage, and this is incredible, isn't it? The shots inside the Hueys are just as incredible as the shots outside, aren't they?
They are. I think they... is it this bit where they used a lot of stock footage? I don't think it was. I think that there's a scene later on, isn't there, where they're in the chopper, and I think they use a lot of stock footage. But yeah, I don't think it's this one, actually, thinking about it.
But the way that this stuff is shot, it kind of looks documentary style, doesn't it? So when they do use the stock footage, I think it integrated with it really, really well.
It was really good. Oh yeah, it didn't stand out at all.
And you can see that it's the actors inside these helicopters as well. That they're actually in these helicopters flying, very sort of Apocalypse Now looking. You know, the shots from inside as it's flying over, and you can see the actors perched on the edge of the helicopters. That's
it. Yeah, but there's a nice scene when they're flying to the Division HQ, and it turns out Anderson is trying to learn the harmonica, and he pulls it out and he starts to play it, and one of the injured guys that are next to him sort of stops him and says, "Hey partner, I'm already dying. Don't kill me no more." Oh, that was a good line.
I like that, and I've got to say, I'm on his side.
Oh, he's rubbish, isn't he?
I can't stand a harmonica at the best of times, to be honest.
I know, it's a little bit like bagpipes.
Yeah, like the sound of a dying donkey. Yeah,
it is. Nobody likes harmonica or bagpipes.
Really.
Come on, why are you putting all your effort into that? Get a real instrument.
Unless, of course, you're a retrospection listener and you're into harmonicas and bagpipes, then we love it.
Bloody love harmonicas. I've always said I really love harmonicas.
Absolutely. It's not like we're flip-flop.
I love a bagpipe.
So Anderson arrives at, we get a little subtitle again, Chulai HQ 23rd Infantry Division. And he tells the brass about the attack, and they're disturbed at the lack of intel, wishing that they could have taken one of the enemy soldiers alive. And Anderson tells them that he's more concerned with keeping himself alive than worrying about them. I thought that was a good line.
It's good, and it's a line that he uses more than once.
Oh right, does he? He says that again, does he later?
Yeah, well, he says something similar, I think. When we'll get to it, but when you get the new lieutenant comes with him, and the lieutenant is trying to sort of boss his way around.
Oh right.
And Anderson doesn't bite because, come on, my priority is keeping ourselves alive.
He'd be a good guy to have in your corner.
Oh yeah,
and we get an obligatory military volleyball game, don't we? Which made me laugh.
Jungle Rules volleyball
in the mud.
In the mud.
it still looked more manly than Top Gun's volleyball game, I thought.
Anything looks more manly than Top Gun's. It's no arse slapping for a start.
Not that we saw.
No, that is true. But they're playing this Jungle Rules volleyball, aren't they, in the mud, and there's a radio station playing in the background. And this is the first bit of faux rock that I hear in it. I think it's basically meant to be All Day and All of the Night by the Kinks.
Yeah.
But it's just a knockoff version of it with no lyrics.
I would bet money that in the original versions when these went out, it probably had that song instead.
It must have had it. It's ridiculously close to it, but it's just
what a terrible job that must have been for somebody to go through these episodes and just replace all those songs with knockoff versions.
Soul destroying.
Anderson lines up the soldiers that have been playing volleyball, and he tries to get a few volunteers. He tells them that he doesn't want dopers or dummies.
Well, he tries to tempt them, doesn't he, with some good Vietnamese dope.
Yeah, he does. But it's a ruse, isn't it? I don't know how to say that.
It's definitely a ruse. It's going, I've got some good Vietnamese dope. Anybody? Nobody? Come on, who's falling for that?
It's like when the teachers used to say, all right, own up and you won't get in trouble. Who's doing that? No.
Yeah.
And we meet Corporal Purcell, who it turns out volunteered for this war.
He did. He did, and when Anderson said, if you're stupid, then take a step back, and Purcell didn't. And when he found out that Purcell had volunteered, he said, "Why didn't you step back?"
He's got some really good lines, doesn't he, Terrence Knox, in this episode?
He has, yeah.
And he picks out a couple more soldiers, and one of them is also Private Ruiz, who's from the Bronx, so he's used to blood, apparently.
I mean, it's the 80s, it's the Bronx. Come on.
Yeah, I wonder if Colin would have something to say about that. Who knows? You said he was made in the 80s, I suppose, but it's set in the 60s, so was it even worse back then? I guess so.
Ooh.
Yeah.
It could, yeah. Yeah, I didn't think of that.
Any listeners from the Bronx want to let us know what it was like in the 60s? I mean, because it's probably our age demographic that listen to us, Dave, so, yeah.
That's it. Just email retrospection. Was the Bronx a shithole in the 60s?
Yeah. Label your email with that as well. Lead with that. Okay. Get to the top of the pile then. He then hears someone else playing the harmonica. Or I should say miming it, because this actor can't play the harmonica. He's definitely miming this.
Yeah, he did have his hands cupping that harmonica very copiously, didn't he?
But Anderson instantly, he likes the guy, doesn't he? And the guy's name's Horn.
Yes.
Until he learns that he's a war protester who refuses to fight, but he takes him anyway.
Mm-hmm. As you would.
Well, he wants to prove something to him.
But he just wants to learn the harmonica.
That is true. That's the only thing he cares about, isn't it, at this point?
That is as good a reason as anybody to take anybody into your platoon, right?
Anderson strikes me as that kind of guy that tries to find the best in any situation,
Yeah, I'd go along with that.
And that's probably why his character is... Because it gets revealed, doesn't it, that this is his third tour. And it's probably why he can get through it, because of his attitude, really.
I need to say that it was when he was recruiting here. This is where he also saw Baker for the first time, where he asked him, "How did you get so big?"
That's right, yeah.
And then Baker goes on a big rambling thing about his exercise and his diet and lots of protein and vitamins and minerals, and he goes on this big rambling thing. I thought that was nice. That made me laugh.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I didn't write that one down. I forgot his name. That's why I didn't write it down. So then we meet Lieutenant Goldman, and it's clear from the outset that he and Anderson are completely different personalities.
Oh yeah, there's an immediate clash, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's almost like, because Goldman is fresh out of... Well, he's not out of West Point, is he? Because he says he's not from West Point, but it's of that kind of thing, isn't it? He's an officer who's probably not seen too much at this point. Yeah.
Well, I think Anderson's a little bit more freeform, whereas Lieutenant is... he's a bit more rigid.
He's a by the book person, because he doesn't know any different.
He's a by the booker. That's exactly what it is. Yeah, that's exactly what he is.
And I don't think that as it goes on, we see that Anderson steps on Goldman a little bit, but I don't think he's doing it out of trying to prove anything to him. He's just doing it because he's trying to protect his men, and he's the one who knows that he can do it. Yeah.
And he's been in that situation, as he points out. He's been there for 3 tours. He knows how this works. Yeah,
definitely. I think it's going to be interesting if I watched more of this to see how these two characters, the relationship plays out. Because I would imagine that they're both it's going to be one of those situations, isn't it, where they're both completely different points of view, but they'll learn something from each other as the show goes on. I think that would play very well, I think, in a TV show. So on the drive back, one of the soldiers pulls what he calls an initiation ceremony by firing his rifle. He fires his rifle into the air and screams, "VC, VC!" I think this guy would just get kicked over the edge of that truck, wouldn't he? He'd be gone.
Yeah.
But Anderson is like, "Oh, it's just a thing they do. That's all."
Well, this is it. But Goldman's like ready to lynch him, which, you know, I don't blame him, to be honest with you. But Anderson's like coolly going, "No, it's an initiation ceremony." Come on.
I thought it was bang out of order, Dave.
I thought it was bang out of order, and they're giving their position away. What the hell are they doing?
That is true. They are giving their position. I didn't think of it in those terms, you know.
You see, always thinking.
you're the one that I'd want in my platoon, I tell you. I suppose though that in Vietnam or in any kind of these situations, and before I say this, I'm conscious of the fact that I'm coming at this from I'm a white middle-aged Englishman whose idea of combat is fighting over that last bag of donuts in Asda. So I'm not exactly qualified to make statements like this, but I would imagine that gallows humour must have been a thing in any kind of war situation.
Oh, I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's probably why they take this prank. Or Anderson take. I mean, he's a bit irritated, but he doesn't really do anything to the guy. He doesn't shout at the guy, does he? Really? He just tells him to don't do that again, kind of thing.
Yeah, I guess so. But I think Anderson talked him down a little bit. That was the thing. I think he would have I got the feeling he would have taken it further if Anderson hadn't stepped in and stopped him.
Yeah, I think he would as well. Yeah, it would have been straight in that. What do they call it? The cooler or whatever they call it. That's Great Escape, isn't it?
The Great Escape.
See, I know nothing about military, Dave. I don't know where you get these ideas about me from. Anyway, Anderson and Goldman, they have a chat. Anderson reveals that this is his third tour, as we said, and this is where we find out that Goldman is pretty much as green as they can be, isn't he? Mm. And then we get a bit more harmonica, which is always lovely. So we reach Firebase, and Goldman introduces himself to Wallace, and it turns out that Goldman, he had a famous father that fought in World War II, and this Goldman wants to surpass his achievements.
Apparently so.
And he's also not too happy about having Anderson as his sergeant. He can see that he thinks that he's going to be undermined by him, doesn't he?
He thinks that Anderson is a little bit unorthodox.
Yeah, a bit loose.
Slightly laid back with his troops.
Yeah. The new recruits meet the rest of the squad, and it's hardly a friendly welcome, is it?
No, this is true. In fact, this is Taylor again being dickish.
It is.
Because they're coming in, they're looking for their new beds, and Taylor's telling them that no, they're the beds of our dead mates, basically, is what he's saying. And making it pretty much impossible for them to pick any kind of bed whatsoever. So I can't remember who it was. One of them said, I think it was Baker, he said, I'm just going to sleep on the floor.
Yeah, just to avoid any arguments or any bad feeling, I think. I've got to say that when Ruiz entered, though, he's instantly got tension with Taylor. And it does take you a bit by surprise when you hear the kind of racial slurs being slung around in this show.
Yeah.
On what essentially was a mainstream TV show. It wasn't like it was on cable or anything. It was a proper mainstream show.
Do you think they got away with it because he was saying that racial slur about himself? Because he was saying, "What's the matter? Haven't you seen her?" I won't say it because I don't want to get cancelled on my first time out, you know.
But yeah, he says that. He does. Yeah, don't. I'll cut it out, Dave. It's all right. But he does say that about himself, but he also uses the other word as well in reference to Taylor. The other word.
Did he?
He did. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
That was the one that was the one that really stood out to me, because you kind of hear it, and whenever you hear that in anything, don't you? You kind of go, "Ooh, no, Dave," you know.
There's always an element of wincing going on, isn't there?
I think it's good though that they didn't gloss over it. I mean, this is how these people would have talked to each other.
True.
And I'm sure it's still a thing today in some circles, you know.
I imagine so. I mean, I wouldn't know, but
well, no, not in our lives, but but
we live in very different circles.
We do. Well, we're not in Vietnam for a start, you know. So
I don't know. You've seen where I live. It's almost like Nam.
I nearly said the name of the town, but I won't, Dave. Very nice. I always think it's one of the worst things you can do is ignore stuff like that, like the language of the time, and pretend it never happened. So it's good. It's good that they're doing that. I think in this show.
Yeah, I'll go with that.
Suddenly, the base comes under attack from artillery, and the squad run into these bunkers. And it's revealed that this happens pretty much every night. Doesn't one of them say they fire at us, we fire back, pretty much every night. And then we get like a weird comedy moment where Ruiz starts freaking out over a rat, and everyone just unloads all their guns at it.
Yeah, it's really strange, isn't it? It's almost out of nowhere, and they all shoot the rat, and then didn't manage to kill him.
It's a weird moment though, because it's a big tonal shift. It's almost like they thought, it's quite a heavy show. We need at least one little light moment in there, don't we? And the only thing they could think of was a rat.
Well, he said it because he went, "Oh, get me out of it, get me out of it," and then he ran out, and then there was an explosion. So he ran back in the bunker, but then ran into a big sheet. So now he's covered in the sheet, and everybody's going, "I can't see."
It did work. I have to say, it was kind of funny. Because up to this point he's been like he's acting like the hard man, isn't he?
Yeah.
So that's the gag, really, isn't it?
I suppose so.
But it was okay. It was just a weird tonal shift all of a sudden.
It was. Yeah.
So the next morning, and Wallace sends the squad out to locate and bring out into the open a group of the enemy, because there's a camp that they think is nearby.
Yes, using them as bait.
That's right. Yeah.
Was what he was saying.
Yeah, and some of them are not too happy about this.
No, which I can understand. I wouldn't want to be used as bait. I mean, dress it up a little bit, even if that's what you're doing. Just dress it up a little bit. Don't actually say it.
What would it take then, Dave, to use you as bait? What would you need? Just asking, for future reference,
Couple of beers.
Oh, that is all.
I'm quite cheap.
I'll make a note of that. Quite cheap. Okay. So Horn reiterates to Anderson that he won't fight because he's a pacifist, and Anderson puts him in charge of the radio instead and orders him to stay close. And this is where we get some more great helicopter aerial footage, and I think this is where they use a bit more of that stock footage that you mentioned earlier.
They use a lot of the stock footage and some faux Jimi Hendrix.
Yes, it was
playing over the top.
Was. Yeah.
And is it just me, or did this scene last a long time?
Yeah, because there's a lot of... I actually thought it worked really well, because there's a lot of people nervously glancing around at each other, and a couple of them are actually finding it all quite amusing as well.
This is it. Were they trying to build the tension, or was it padding?
I think it was probably a bit of both. It was probably padding that worked well in the end.
It felt like it overstayed its welcome.
Do you feel like it slowed down a little bit in this bit?
Yeah.
I can see. Yeah,
it definitely did. Yeah.
It didn't bother me as much as that, but I can see what you're saying. Yeah. So they land and they're instantly caught up in a firefight. And again, it's another action sequence that's well shot and well staged.
Yeah, it was. And while they're under fire, it shows Horn leaving his gun in the chopper because he's still protesting.
You'd take it at this point. Pacifism would go out the window, wouldn't it?
I mean, fair play to him for sticking by his beliefs, but come on now.
Yeah, I think you need to get...
They've got guns. They're shooting at you. Don't leave it.
Yeah, even if you're just going to fire over your head at them, I mean, at least do something, Yeah. So Goldman wants the squad to move up and take out the enemy, but Anderson plays it smart, and he orders in an airstrike.
Yeah, he didn't like that, though, did he?
He didn't. No, he didn't like being overruled. The airstrike comes in, and Goldman actually does say to both both Horn and Anderson that once they get back, both of them are going to be court-martialed.
Yes. Yeah, he wasn't particularly happy about Horn leaving his gun in the chopper.
But the squad then find a blood trail. And I've got to say, at this point, you've got like 10 minutes left of the episode. It moves really fast, doesn't it?
It does.
It packs a lot in there in the 45 minutes that it's on. It never felt... I know you said there was that moment in the chopper where it slowed down, but for me, it flew by. It never felt.
Well, it did. It did, but in reality, that slowdown was about 2 minutes out of a 45-minute episode, which isn't bad going, is it?
Not at all.
There isn't a massive dip. It's it moves on at a fairly brisk pace all the way through.
It does. So I said they find a blood trail and they follow it, and Goldman's really irritated. Anderson seems to be making all the decisions for him at this point. And in many ways, the Goldsman character, it's the tougher performance for an actor to do, isn't it? And I think this guy plays it really well, because you never at any point think to yourself, oh, this guy's a dick. You just think he's inexperienced and he needs to learn.
Yes.
But in other hands, he could come across as really annoying. But he never does.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. It's a fairly fine line, and he manages to stay on the right side of it.
He does. Following the blood trial, it's obvious that the squad are less than impressed by the new lieutenant. They all start grumbling about him, don't they? And as we...
Yeah, well, they've been split up because there were two companies, weren't there?
That's right, yeah.
There was Bravo Company and Charlie Company, and they've been split from Charlie Company, so they feel like they've been sort of brought out, and they're vulnerable on their own now.
They're always Bravo and Charlie, aren't they? Can you never think of any other names?
I know. There's never Delta. Well, is there Delta? I've just said that. I've just said that, and that's probably not true whatsoever.
Delta and Gary Company. What about Gary? You know Gary? Just saying. So as they're walking, we get these little interactions between the men, and it kind of showcases their personalities a little bit, and it gives us as an audience more of an idea as to how the dynamics of these characters in the show might start to play out as it goes along. It was a really nice little collection of scenes as they're walking and talking, I thought.
Yes, yeah, it's it was quite good. But you got Baker and Ruiz.
Take it.
They start having an argument out of nowhere about the benefits of cars versus the subway, which I thought was a little bit strange. But I guess if they're just trying to show that the new recruits in the platoon haven't gelled yet, with the more experienced.
Yeah, I think that's what they're going for.
People in the company, I guess. But yeah, it was a strange argument to have.
It made me think it was kind of almost Tarantino type dialogue, but quite a few years before Tarantino started doing it. Tarantino's characters have conversations about stuff that has nothing to do with the plot sometimes, like the famous Burger King thing.
That's 90% of every Tarantino film.
Exactly,
isn't it?
and I know what it is. It's supposed to give realism. It's supposed to make you feel like these are real characters talking.
Yeah.
And again, it does it really, really well. You didn't see that a lot in 80s TV shows because everything was plot driven. You think about, and I'm not comparing Tour of Duty to this show, but you think about something like Knight Rider or the A-Team. Everything was plot driven. There was very little room for conversations like this. Every conversation in those shows moved the plot forward in some shape or form.
True. But then Vietnam, the nature of the surroundings, there's a lot of time spent walking in single file in long grass. What? You can't avoid that really in a program like this. So you've got to fill it with something. So it's a perfect time to get that kind of dialogue.
Absolutely, yeah. And I hope that if I watch more of it, there's a lot more of this kind of thing in it. I would imagine there is.
I seem to remember there being plenty of that. Yeah.
So they find some C4 planted in the ground, and Goldsman orders Anderson to disarm it, which he does. And then Ruiz stumbles upon some enemy soldiers that leads them to the base.
Well, he stumbles on these enemy soldiers because he found a lizard from somewhere,
did, yes.
And he was still having an argument with Baker. So Baker slapped the lizard out of his hands. And he went, "Oh, my lizard!" And then he went off the beaten path to go and fetch it, and happened to stumble upon these soldiers.
So if it wasn't for this lizard, they never would have found this base, would they?
Well, this is it exactly.
See, that lizard's like the what do they say? The gunner on the on the Death Star in Star Wars that if you just shot the you don't know what I'm talking about, do you?
Oh, you have just gone way over my head.
Yeah, people listening, they'll know. They'll know.
Oh, I know, no. I'm the only person on the planet that doesn't know.
One day, mate, you'll watch it.
You think so?
Yeah, one day. So yeah, they find this enemy base, and Goldman radios the location to Wallace, and he orders some artillery to be fired. But in the meantime, another soldier, Lawrence, he steps on a mine, doesn't he, or some sort of C4 thing.
He does, yeah. He hits a tripwire, doesn't he?
And he explodes.
That was quite a good scene. I think that was well acted as well. He did look genuinely terrified.
Yeah, he did.
Which, you know, for a character who's just there to get blown up, he's not part of the main story or anything like that. I think he did a cracking job.
I think Lawrence had been in and out of like this episode at this point a couple of times, hadn't he? So you were aware of him. I think so.
Had he?
In the background, he was a background person.
Okay.
You know, I think it would have been. It would have made more impact if they'd have killed off one of the people that you thought was going to be one of the series regulars.
Yeah.
You know, that would have been more impact, but it still worked. It was quite a. You weren't expecting it, were you?
No, it was really well acted.
And then we get another firefight, and Goldsman calls for artillery right now, but HQ says that it can't because I think they've got choppers flying in the vicinity, so they can't actually fire at the moment.
Apparently so. So it's and he did this good line of like, "Well, get him out of there."
But Anderson's got a plan. So what he does is he kind of sneaks around with a couple of his men, and then what he does first is he takes out an enemy gun placement with a grenade, and then they fire a rocket launcher into the enemy base, destroying it. Now this is where I thought they've been getting worked up about this enemy base, and I counted maybe 5 blokes running about.
Well, the thing is, right? They said, "Look at those crates. That must be ammo." So he fired the rockets at the ammo. Now, okay, admittedly, there's some crates. If you're going to fire rockets at some ammo, I imagine they're going to explode. But the sheer breadth of the explosion seems slightly over the top.
Well, in all fairness, I mean, how many computer games have you played where you shoot crates, they explode? Happens a lot, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And maybe
True.
They saved the big explosion for the end, and that's why the explosion that happened earlier, you know, the one that I said I didn't think worked as well.
The explosion at the beginning was a $1 million explosion, whereas this one at the end was a $2 million explosion. That's what's gone on there. That's your $3 million right there.
Well, this one had a mushroom cloud. No, I thought it was really good. It worked really, really well.
It was. But as you said, it happened a bit easily.
It did, because I was looking at how much time was left in the episode when this happened, and I'm thinking there's only 5 minutes left. Is this a 2-part? I've got to watch another episode.
It could have done with an extra 15 minutes, couldn't it? Really?
Yeah, it should have been at least an hour long, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
But I know why they couldn't, because they had to put the ad breaks in, didn't they, and make space for the ads.
Oh yeah.
You know. But exactly, it could have done with being slightly longer and giving more time to breathe, I think. But as it stands, it was okay. It was okay. Wallace and backup arrive, and Anderson and Goldman admit to Wallace that they've kind of grown to respect each other now, which seemed to happen quite quickly, didn't it?
Well, it did, because the thing is, when they stumbled upon that base, Goldman had decided that they were a little bit out of their depth, and they were going to call in support, which he was reluctant to do earlier on when Anderson was telling him to do it, or when Anderson did it himself. So now it's like, okay, I'm listening to him, and now there's a little bit of mutual respect going on. Yeah,
I suppose. Just for me, it just felt a little quick. When 2 minutes ago they'd been arguing. But I guess...
I think it is. I think, it's that thing of it could have done with an extra 15 minutes. I think it got so compact, it was like, I'm going to court-martial you. Oh, I love you.
Yeah, it did feel a bit like that. Hang on. Yeah. I'm surprised that something with this level of production value and something that cost this much, that the pilot was only 45 minutes long, because back in those days, most pilots were 90 minutes, weren't they, for TV shows?
They were. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. True.
They could have done with a 90-minute. There's a movie here. There's definitely a movie here.
They could have. Yeah, they could have quite easily stretched out to 90 minutes, no problem.
Yeah. But there's still an enemy soldier alive, and he's crawling around on the ground, and he grabs a gun and he points it. But then Horn sees him, and after a struggle, Horn has to kill the guy with a knife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Anderson tells him that he did what he was supposed to do. This war's wrong, Horn says. Maybe, replies Anderson, but that's not the point. I thought that was good as well.
I like that line.
Yeah,
it's a great line.
He's basically saying to him, isn't he, that I might even agree with you, mate, but while you're here and we're in this shit, you've got to do what you've got to do, haven't you? You know.
Yeah, exactly.
You've got my. If I've got your back, I need to know you've got my back.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not going to work, is it?
Exactly.
And Anderson tosses him a rifle and he walks away. And then as the credits roll, we see black and white photos of the characters shot as though they're actual war correspondent type shots over the music.
Yes.
And apparently these were done by a guy called David Hume Kennedy, who actually won a Pulitzer Prize for his real Vietnam War photography.
Oh, really? Oh, that's interesting.
Because they look real, don't they? They look like genuine.
They do look
genuine
great.
war photography photos. And that is the end of the first episode of Tour of Duty. So, Dave.
It is.
And I think I know where we're both going with this, but I've got to ask it anyway because that's the format of the show. What did you think of Tour of Duty?
Well, I have fond memories of it. Obviously, as I've mentioned, from my childhood. You know, fond memories of watching it with my dad. It's been interesting going back to it again after all these years and seeing it. And I've got to say, from the first sequence, I was in, you know, to the point where I'll gladly watch everything I can find of it.
Yeah.
I'll happily go through it all, and if I can find it, I probably will. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I think the dialogue was good. I think it was all right, admittedly, apart from the bad film quality. I think it was well shot. It was really well lit. I think it was atmospheric. It had the budget. Yeah, come on, it's a hit. Come on.
Well, I'm shocked, Dave.
I know.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on this. I remember seeing it back in the day as well and being really impressed at the time. But 30 years is a long time, isn't it? And I was worried that it might not hold up a bit. You know, there's always that possibility, isn't there?
There is.
But I had no reason to be concerned because, as you say, the script's top drawer, the performances are excellent. It looks fantastic.
It does. And it's not nostalgia talking either, is it? It genuinely does.
It really does. It really does.
We're not looking at it through rose-tinted glasses.
No. There's a real sense of detail and realism about everything that you wouldn't really expect from a TV show at this time, at this period in the 80s, I don't think.
True. No.
And if this was a new show now, and it was exactly done this way, no different, no modernisation of how, because I know things don't look like this anymore. They're shot differently, you know. I'd still be on board with it today if it was a new show. I'd want to see how these characters develop as it goes along. Yeah, so it's an absolute top tier hit for me. There's no question about it.
Yeah. Do you think? Talk about if they tried to do something like this now. They wouldn't use the pyrotechnics that they used.
No, it'd all be CG, wouldn't it?
Would they? And there's a lot to be said for real pyrotechnics.
Yeah, because you know it's there.
You just can't beat it.
You can't. You know that the effort that went into it, it looks real because it is real.
That's it.
Because with the best...
Do you think anybody will ever make something like this again?
It's interesting you should say that, because the other night, I watched Extraction 2, which I know isn't a Vietnam movie, but it's an action movie, where the Chris Hemsworth sequel to the one that he made on Netflix a few years ago. And you're kind of watching it, and you're thinking to yourself, this looks amazing, but I don't know how much of this is real and how much of it isn't. Because CG is so good now sometimes that you can't actually tell.
Yeah.
But there's always that little voice at the back of your mind thinking, there's something about this doesn't quite look right. So then I looked into it. I googled it and looked into it, and apparently 95% of what you see is actually on screen.
Is it really?
Yeah, they wanted to do it completely. There's a few CG shots here and there because there has to be, but most of it is on screen and done there and then. And I thought that was weird because as I was watching it, maybe I'm so conditioned to just accepting CG now. I just presumed a lot of it was. But it wasn't.
Yeah, maybe there is a little bit of that to it. I do assume that at least 70% of what you're seeing is in front of a green screen now.
Yeah.
Even when it feels like the scene doesn't actually require one.
No, exactly.
They just do it. Why bother going out and finding somewhere appropriate when you can just stick a green screen on it and use a computer to generate it?
Well, I mean, there's that Star Wars show, isn't there, that's on Disney Plus called The Mandalorian, and everything in that is shot in this complete 360. It's not green screen; it's a special screen that they built, and it looks real, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's no location footage in it at all, but you would never know because it looks like they're outside in the desert, and they're not, So yeah, to answer your question, this wouldn't be made like this today.
No,
I don't think.
No,
because some people are doing it, but more often than not, it's not. It's CG a lot of the time, which is a shame.
Yeah.
But you've got 3 seasons. You've got 3 seasons of this if you want to watch it. You
I will.
So that's it for this episode of Retrospection. I want to say a big thank you to Dave for stepping in.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's always fun talking to you, mate. Where can our listeners find you on social media?
Oh my word! You can find me on Twitter. It's at Huzelio. That's HUZZELLIO. I'm going to level with you. I don't post an awful lot, but feel free to follow me anyway.
And you're on Instagram as well, aren't you? Because you're.
I am on Instagram. I post my artwork. I do portraits. That is David Hurrell Art. So yeah, if you like to see drawings, that's where you can find me. That's where I post most of my stuff, to be honest.
And you should check that out because they're fantastic. It's fantastic work. Dave did a drawing of Bela Lugosi for me a couple of years ago on my birthday, and it is like looking at a photograph. It's beautiful, Dave. It's on my wall.
Thanks, mate. Thanks. Makes me feel all warm and fuzzy inside.
Oh, that was what I was going for. But seriously, check it out. It's really good. So if you want to contact the show, we're on Facebook and Twitter, and we're on Instagram. We're trying to post more on Instagram. I know Colin does that a lot. You can also check out our Spotify playlist and listen to some of the music from the films and shows that we've covered so far. And you can also listen to the podcast on Spotify as well now. We're on there too. So until next time, thank you, Dave. Bye.
Thank you.